Wow, 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 wow. I don't have a theme song yet at this location. Wow, 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 wow. Hey, it's the House Parks Morning Show. What's going on? All right, everybody excited. Okay, good to see you. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. I had to restart the computer here. I will be up in just 1 second. Let's see. Hold on. I need to go to this screen first. There you go. Don't forget to sign up and go there. Live shows are coming and all that kind of stuff. And then to go and live we go. And here we go. Look at that. All right. We got set up. This is good. Good morning, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the morning show. We're getting off to a late start today because I'm in LA and no one at the house, the band house, updates the drivers in the computer ever. And hi everybody. Hi Trisha, I'm Madness. What's up, Trisha K, Kat, Cosmic Rose, yay. Audrey, hello. Frank, good morning. Hi. Annika, good to see you. I'm doing good, Roberta. Thank you. By the way, did you know that Roberta is my my grandmother's name and her husband's name was Robert? Yeah, we had talk about a Robert the Brucey kind of morning every day when they would talk to each other across the Roberta, and let the war begin. I'm kidding. They were actually, I think, from both. I don't know. I guess I would say both my grandparents, and the fact that both my parents are Libras. Just zero arguing in the house. The fact that I sort of argue for a living, or that I'm probably able to do it as a comedy job, as opposed to being like all wound up and angry about it, probably comes directly from that. All disputes in the Sparks household are settled either quietly through conversation or on the hustings. Welcome. Kevin in Toronto. Is it cold there? Is it freezing? Morning, CSL. Good to see you, brother. Hello. Hi. How you doing? Man, yesterday was fun. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I was driving to LA yesterday afternoon to get here. I had Masons last night, and then I have Nerd Halen rehearsal tonight. And so let's see if this, yeah, here it goes. So I'm driving along the freeway, and some lovely people pull up beside me and start doing this at your front left tire. Never a good sign. That deal, right? So this is what it looked like when I pulled over. You can kind of tell that it's like starting to shrinkage there. Look at the top and look at the bottom. Not good. So I pulled over, went to a gas station, filled it with air, went into the place to see if I could get it was full, filled it up with air. I could hear it hissing. Went inside the store to see if I could find some Fix-A-Flat that I could put in there until I could drive someplace. And by the time I came out, they didn't have any, by the way. But Luis, thank you so much for the new wheel. Thanks. I appreciate that because it's gonna, I'm going to need new tires, clearly. And you know, I drive my FJ Cruiser, which I call Camden's tank. I bought when my son was born because I wanted a sturdy vehicle to drive him around in the Los Angeles area. And it has suicide doors on it, meaning that you have to open the front door for the back door to open so that somebody can't throw the door open. And no matter how old he gets, he couldn't fidget with the door handle and fall out. I did that when I was a kid. That's another story. We'll tell that at another time. My dad took a corner and I was no longer in the car. I was in a puddle about a quarter mile back. Anyways, so I go into the store. It was full. I go into the store and I come back out and it looks like that. And I'm like, that's happening very fast. And they didn't have any Fix-A-Flat patch stuff at all. So, and it was obviously a big enough. Thanks, Norman. It was a big enough hole that I could hear it hissing as I went by. So, needless to say, I rolled into, I was like, all right, they don't have any of the spray Fix-A-Flat or any patch stuff in two of the gas stations. So I'm going to like gas station after gas station, and the tire is getting flatter. I had to fill it up another time at the next one just a little bit while I was like, all right, I'll fill it up for like like 3 minutes to get enough air in it so that I don't come out and it's completely flat and, like the rim slices through the tire just sitting there. Which, anyways, so come back out and it's still bad. So I'm like, all right, I like Googled an AutoZone, drove to that because I'm like, they'll have the fix-a-flat stuff, and if they'll have patch stuff if I have to actually do a cement patch, which I can do, but it's, crazy. So anyways, right next to the fix-a-flat was an American Tire, and their bays were all full, but I just, like an a-hole, just drove straight up to the back of one of the bays that had cars in it and went inside. The guy came over and was like, can I help you work on it? I was like, look at that. And he's like, oh, okay, can you park it over there? We'll take care of you. And I parked it over there, and he's like, it was like 5, it was like 5 o'clock, little before 5 p.m. And the dude goes, just park it over there. We're a little backed up, might be, but we'll get to you. So I'm like, okay, I go and sign in, do all the thing, give him all the information. He goes, we'll get started on it as soon as we get some of these cleared, and it'll be done about 6:55. I have to be at Mason's at 7, and I'm basically in Riverside, which is, if you know LA traffic, could be anything between a half hour at full speed down the 10 to the beach, like way across to like full out, or 6 hours of bumper to bumper horrifying traffic. So there you go. So anyways, I ended up, they finished it about 6:20. There was nothing in the area. There were no restaurants to sit in. They had my car, so I couldn't sit in there. The lobby was going to be locked because they closed at 6. So they're like, yeah, just come back. And I'm like, what do you mean come back? That's hilarious. And so there was a Home Depot down at the end. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy, I don't even have the keys to my car. So it's not like I could go buy a Ben Shapiro piece of wood and then come back and throw it in the back because it's going to, yeah. Anyway, so there was a nail salon, a Jiffy Lube, and a Fuddruckers that was like a mile hike away. So I got my nails done. $17 later, and $17.40 later, I was like, all right, now what do I do? Yeah, so I got look at that shiny coat. Lovely gentleman from Vietnam. We had a great conversation. He lived in Louisville, Kentucky. He was born in Vietnam, spent most of his life in Los Angeles and in the surrounding area, but he lived in moved to LA from Vietnam when he was like 6, and he lived here his whole life, and then he went back east, tried a couple of places, ended up in Louisville, Kentucky, and Memphis, and then just didn't like the winter and came back here. Being from the tropical climate that he's from, I'm sure it was a pain in the ass. And just like a really sweet conversation with this dude. He was really nice. And yeah. I mean, this is probably the 4th manicure I've had in a decade. Usually it's a time killer. Look at that. $17. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. Look at those cuticles. And the sad thing is, just like hey Wes, it's like it's like having I don't get them done often enough, so my cuticles. He was like cutting away, they shove them up and then they snip away at them or whatever, and they tick 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 like that. Meanwhile, there's just like 3 women lined up next to me, just in the booths or whatever with the ladies that were there, and their nails are like that long. They're they all look like they work at the DMV. You know what I mean? Where I don't want to have to touch anything, but wiping my ass is out of the question. I've never understood that. I don't get it. I mean, they should be able to pop off. I mean, there's some elements of hygiene that should not require a spotter. I don't. So anyways, he's I'm totally out of my element, Donnie. in this situation. And yeah, I guess they would have to use a bidet. That's a good point. They're fake. The nails were fake, for sure. And they had these big rubber hands in the window because it's definitely the clientele. And there was like, it looked like a serial killer's display case. All these rubber hands with like a different nail on each hand, so you could pull them up and go, "Do you want the big purple? How about this? We have a little gem in the center of this one." And they're just putting on these things, and then they do them like those blue lights to solidify, whatever. How I cannot stand the smell of in a nail salon. Oh my God, it was brutal. That is the first thing that like hit me when I walked in. I was like, all right, maybe I'll just kill some time in here. I'll see. There was another guy in there getting his toenails done, seemingly at the direction of his wife or girlfriend who was there getting her giant nails done. Like, just sit over there and soak your feet while I get this done. Ow, ow. And they were pulling out power tools. It was hilarious. Yes, it's the gel samples. Thank you, Melissa. I knew someone would know in the chat. So it was basically like he was just held hostage, just sitting there with his feet soaking, getting his nasty toes ground down, right? And I'm like, how do they not ventilate these places? How do you not have a law about ventilation in nail salons? Because Christ. Oh, yeah. They're Cancer Alley. Yeah, no doubt. So anyways, I felt, completely unqualified to be, in the room at all. A level 5 hype train. I can't see my hype train stuff. Maybe I'll open if it'll do it on here. We'll see. Just crazy go nuts. This day, let me tell you, is so fun. But so I got my look at that. Look how shiny they still are. That'll last about a day. I've already got like scrapes in it. That's why I can't have anything nice. I have gone through feet and paint thinner, totally. It's a good mix. Acetone is a hard smell to get rid of. Yeah, I know. It was like walking around your I was driving afterwards trying to I don't know how long it takes to dry. So I'm driving like this with my thumbs holding the wheel and my fingers kind of floating. And I'm like, somebody's going to swerve near me. I'm going to have to move a little bit. I'm going to overcorrect because I'm not fully gripping the wheel. I'm going to get pulled over by the cops. And the whole time I'm going to look like a T-Rex while I'm answering questions. Sir, can I see your license and registration? I can't touch my screen right now because my nails are still wet. And I don't want to get nail polish on my phone. But it's in an app. I have Geico. I have that. Also, I would love to get my registration. It's in the glove box, but I have to. It'll stick to my fingers, and I'll end up like in a Abbott and Costello or a Three Stooges episode where I just can't. Get on over here and scuzz me up. I love the smell of formaldehyde in the morning. Yeah, it's good. Spoken like a true serial killer. The lighting makes it look pink, but it's just clear. It's just a clear thing. The pink is actually my skin, my underneath there. I'm quite white, except for my calluses. There you go. There's some. They're not too rough these days, but that's my sort of never-ending weightlifting calluses. You can't really see my in this lighting. You can't really see my guitar calluses. It's this one right here. This finger right here it's soft. Don't get me wrong, but the skin is really thick. Like it's yeah, they did a great job. Like I said, $17 later, waiting in formaldehyde for my tire to get fixed. And then they were like, we're going to close the door exactly at 6 o'clock, so you need to be back over here. And I'm literally getting this thing done, and the clock is ticking out, and he literally finished at 5:59. And I was like, I don't know how to tip. Here's $20. And he and then he just took it and walked away. I was like, oh, okay. And then I Men get manicures and pedicures. What is wrong with that? Doesn't make you less of a man who wants a man with long, jagged nails and 5 days of food underneath them. I need to start drinking earlier today. Annie, nothing's wrong with it. I got no shame about it. It's one of those things like I feel like I should do more often, just for hygiene and just to keep your nails healthy and strong. Mine tear all the time because I'm always futzing with stuff. I got, and my tools need organizing in the house, and I have not had time because I spend quite a bit of time with you lovely people. So no offense, but you're my main procrastination, according to my girlfriend. So I'm always in a rush when we're fixing something to like get in my toolbox, and I'm always just like, it's a mess. So yeah, personal hygiene's good. And of course, Summer is the second of my long-running girlfriends of Eastern European descent, and they're big on male personal hygiene. Across the board, clean yourself and trim and prime yourself. I need a base coat, and I need 2 layers of shellac. Men are gross. Doll yourself up. Eastern European women or women of Eastern European descent, because my girlfriend Vidag, who was from Hungary, and most of Summer's family are like their Czech background, the Slavic background, and so but it seems to be across the board. Not exclusively, but it's a big deal to them. Yeah. Summer will clean me up. Yeah, she insists. I'm not against it. I'm for it. Jody, yes, we like stuff cleaned up. You should do that hot wax for your hands. Your hands feel amazing afterwards. All right, now I'm just getting like manicuring tips from everybody for just literally killing 35 minutes waiting for my tire to get changed. And I swear to God, I thought they were going to roll it in, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a whole new tire, because it was loud. Like one of the times I rolled in, I was trying to find where the leak was because I could hear it. So I literally ran my hand over the surface of the tire, and the hole was so big, I could feel the air brushing against the palm of my hand, and as I pushed my hand down on it, it changed the pitch of the thing, and here I am kneeling in the parking lot of a gas station, and Amoco, I think it was, basically playing my tire like a flute. This is how weird I am. I was going, I'm like having a theremin moment. And I'm like, what am I doing? I got a place to go. Like, this is how easy it is for me to find things fascinating. Some people would call it ADD. I would not. I would call it attention hyperfocus order. You're soaking in it. That's right. Palm olive. Dishwashing liquid. Are you out of your mind? What's funny is those "you're soaking in it" ads. I believe there's a direct line from those ads to The Incredible Shrinking Woman as a movie, as a script. That's what I think. By the way, good morning. Welcome to the morning show. Thanks very much. Hair is very, it's long. Look at this. There's some bounce in it today, kids. This is good. Everybody at the house when I come back, because it seems like it's grown another couple of inches every time I come in. I blew a shock on the way home. Tire blew out. Oh my gosh, craziness. Yeah, softens hands while you do the dishes. That was the palm olive ad, right? Did I make it? I did. Although I didn't make it in time for they started lodge without me, so somebody else had to sit in. I'm the senior deacon in the lodge, so somebody else had to sit in for me for the opening of the lodge, and then I ended up doing the rest and closing it. So I was late, But I was only actually late for the opening part because I was standing outside and everybody had already gone in. Our building is, the lodge itself is on the third story of this building. And you go up a long staircase. I've shown pictures of it in the past, of the staircase, and it's really beautiful. It's let's see if I have, yeah. So here's quit. This is where I go. That's at the top of the door, and you can see the steps up the stairs behind the door. See that up the top, and then quit it. Quit. I don't want to do that. All right. Yeah, so there I am. That's at the top of the stairs when I go in the place. And I can't show you the inside. There's a little more of the stairs in that picture. I have a big circle light around the camera because there's no lighting in here. There you go. And yes, the top stair says astronomy. The second from the top says music. I tell you the rest, but I'd have to kill you. This is all the public facing stuff, so I'm not showing you anything that's secret. But yeah, so I rolled up. I took the picture after lodge, so I was done. But yeah, so I was outside the front door, which you have to buzz. They buzz you in, and I was waiting outside with a couple of other people who are like a gentleman who's going to be joining our lodge and his fiance who came with him for dinner, and they came a little late, so we let them. They came in with me and they sat out in the dining area while we did lodge. So the timing actually worked out quite well. Yeah, because if I hadn't shown up late because of what I'd been through, they would have been stuck outside without anybody to bring them in. Do I need a special coded ring to see this and see the inside? No. No, the ring doesn't help you. I have a couple of rings, but it's not like a key. We had church every Sunday in a Masonic lodge when I was a kid. It's a beautiful building. That's awesome. Yeah, I think look for that to become more common as well. Masons don't allow women in their club. No, that's not the case. Women are not excluded from Masonry. Masonry is just for men. Women don't need it. Masons allow women in. No, they do not. You can bring them. There are public events that we have because most people don't know this, but we kind of want you to have permission from your family or your significant other to join. Yeah. Yes, like the hair dye. That's right. Sounds a little exclusive. No, it's just specific on its membership. It doesn't exclude. It's, yeah. They have the women join what's called the Order of the Eastern Star. Don't need it. Misogynistic. How would that be misogynistic if they don't need it? Yeah. Women are Masons in continental Europe. Yeah, those aren't regular lodges, though. What's called a regular lodge. Permission from wife, but she's not allowed to attend. Yeah. Well, it's not that she's not allowed to attend. It's not for her. Masons have strippers at their club? We do? That's news to me. When's that going to start? Anytime I even bring it up, we get into this whole discussion because people have all these, I have so many questions. We have Eastern Star. These buildings are cool and hardly used anymore. We have, there's Eastern Star meets in our lodge, and there's a piece of artwork on the ceiling related to the Order of the Eastern Star, which is the women's order, and it's gorgeous. It's on the ceiling of our lodge. Yeah, it's beautiful. I hear the Masons are big on pancakes. That's true. We do, yeah. I heard James was a Mason. It's true. Why don't women need it? Because they are matured by life. Men are not. Men require organized maturation because we can be destructive and create children from puberty to death. What's the difference between a Freemason and a Mason? Nothing. Vernacular. You want their large red book with the rituals? You can't have it. I'm sorry. Yeah, women are naturally matured through the and no, we do not discuss religion or politics in the lodge. Women are not women. Masonry is not necessary for women. Why are the Masons considered evil? Because anti-democratic forces in the world have always fought back against them and outlawed them. And there was a papal bull on that specifically. That the Masons at our root are pro-democracy, anti-theocracy, and monarchy. We believe in a pluralistic society, and that all religions should be welcome, and people should be able to discuss their humanity, their personal lives, removed from whatever their religious beliefs are and their political beliefs are, in a context of sort of a space where everyone is equal. That's where the phrase "on the level" comes from. All of us are on the level. I agree. Masons are beautiful souls. I've met some amazing men because of it, and it's a good thing. Is Trump a Mason? No, he is not. He couldn't be. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of internal reasons, but also he wouldn't be capable. I got a secondhand apron, right? That's the architect sketch. We should always be civil. That's the essence of it. That's why you don't talk politics and religion in the lodge. To remind everyone that people can come together. Keeping it. I nearly got an attendant. Skull and Bones is a dumb boys club at Yale. Yeah, it's usually those kind of groups give Masonry a bad name. Like Skull and Bones, it's unrelated. But Skull and Bones is one of those places, by the way, that guys who are not allowed to join the Masons end up going. We don't take them, so they end up in those things. There's some overlap. Some people are both, but most of the time, it's because they've been turned away. I heard a beautiful gold cigarette case that was presented. My grandfather was a Mason. Oh, that's amazing. Lulu's grandmother was, sorry? I think Lulu's grandmother was high up in the Eastern Star in Scotland. Oh, that's amazing. Yes, you definitely need empathy. It helps. Aren't women not allowed to be Masons? Women are, no. Masonry is for men. Is the audio weird? Is it, Sound dropped. Oh, I turned the volume down because it was peaking. Check, check. Check, 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 check. Okay, is that better? It's yeah, I'm getting a little blowback on the mic. I was getting a little Trump lost is not a Mason, he's a Manson, right. Very good. Men need organized service opportunities, women naturally serve. Yeah, Leslie, that's an interesting way of putting at it. I think men need I think men can be naturally of service as well. It just comes in a different form in a lot of ways. But the reality is that women, because of quite frankly menstruation, childbirth, and the decisions that women have to make about whether or not they're going to have children and when, and it automatically sort of prime your psyche along with your body to make certain decisions that are a little more mature than a dude who can, from the minute he starts becoming, he's fertile, to the day he dies at 90, can still produce a child, whether he can raise it or not. And so our biology creates a situation where irresponsibility is too frequent. Is Biden a Mason? No, he is not. Where's the Grail? I'm not telling. We have a Masonic lodge in Iowa. Is that different than yours? Yes, the Masonic lodges are different people. Only biological men? I don't know that we make that distinction. I don't know of a lodge that wouldn't welcome a trans man. I dropped by 16 dB. Well, that much? It should be better, though. Audio's better? Okay. Oh, I'm scrolling. I'm way behind you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Biden's a Catholic. A lot of Catholics aren't. What degree am I? I'm 32nd. I'm a 32nd degree Mason in the Scottish Rite. But the first 3 degrees are the only ones that matter. What's called a blue lodge, a standard lodge. There's only 3 degrees. Once you become a Master Mason, the higher degrees are just educational sort of degrees from the appendant bodies. So there's a York Rite and there's the Scottish Rite. The Scottish Rite, York Rite has I think somewhere in the order of 16 degrees, and I'm not in the York Rite. I'm going to join the York Rite eventually, but I haven't had time. And the Scottish Rite, though, has 33 degrees. The 33rd is honorary and usually is given to old men who've been in it a long time. And the 32nd degree, though, is like you've worked through all the degrees. You've done the educational work. So I can build a cool barbecue pit with rocks. Yes, I can. And I can, yeah. Do you have to be a Christian to be a Mason? No. What is a Mason? I hear about them. Used to go to dinners there, but never knew what it was. It's the world's oldest fraternity. It's a group with a driving purpose that the idea is that we want to make good men better. That's the purpose. Dad and Grandpa were Scottish Rite. Grandpa was 33rd and Dad was 32. That's great. There are a couple of Freemason orders, y'all. Yeah, there's the Order of the Eastern Star. Yeah. Protestants can be Masons, Catholics are not. Well, there's a Catholic bull against it, but a lot of Catholics still join. We do have some Catholic members. It's just uncommon. What's with the Moloch ceremony? Former presidents have attended. Oh, you mean the Bohemian Grove thing? Unrelated to us. Sinners are not Masons. Oh, Shriners are not Masons? Yes, they are. Yeah, all Shriners are Masons. Not all Masons are Shriners, if that makes sense. Shriners is an appendant body. I have no personal beef, but generally we Catholics aren't down with Masons. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's where the Knights of, Knights who say knee, whatever the Catholic order is, it's Knights of Columbus. That they made that so that Catholics could have their own thing. Pope thinks there's too much witchcraft involved or something. Do I know Emil Muss? Yes. Big, dumb, stupid looking. An exact match. Shriners are perps. What are you talking about, Karen? The Shriners is almost exclusively a medical charity arm of the Masons. Would Jesus be a Mason? He could be. I just don't know how you make him better. Yes, pagan. P-A-G-A-N. People against goodness and normalcy. Pagan. That's good. That's good, Friday. Oh, yeah. You can't do them without having a Monty Python drop. We had a guy join our lodge. He belongs to another lodge in Romania, and he joined us like a partner lodge. Sorry, what? Do Masons come from the builders of Solomon's Temple? Yes. Hal, have you ever driven to Tin Lizzie in a parade? No, I have not. I'm not a Shriner, so I haven't joined that. After they killed the Knights Templar, who killed the Knights Templar? The Vatican had issues with the Masons. Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. The phrase "kill them all, let God sort them out" that they put on T-shirts that Marines wear and that kind of stuff. Allegedly, that phrase came from a Catholic priest when they were looking for the Templars. There were 12 of them living in a city of about 100,000 people, and they showed up with the Catholic Army, the fighters that they had dealing with this, and they said they came up to the bishop or whatever and said, "My lord, they won't tell us who the heretics are amongst them." And the bishop said, the bishop said, "Kill them all. God will know his own." Yeah, that was on Friday the 13th. Yes, The Man Who Would Be King is largely, and I'm interested in writing and like doing a Mason movie. There is a movie called The Freemason, but it's all it was meant to be like a thriller. But The Man Who Would Be King is about that. It's about the path. Kipling was a Mason and wrote it, and it's about these two men and the idea of like, without some semblance of organized focus, a man's own ego and power can take hold of him, and it does not end up well. Let's see. My grandfather was a moose, and they had a great buffets when I was in high school. Probably also why I'm a Monty Python. Yes, there's a moose lodge near my dad's house, and I keep wanting to go by there. I'm down with my conspiracy theory studies, which are actually true. Your grandpa was a Mason. A lot of people's grandpas were Mason. If you'll notice, a lot of the problems in this country you could trace back to when there was a direct attack on Masonry, and that attack on Masonry was not an accident. It came largely from outside the country, and largely attacks on democratic countries. Painting the Masons as being part of a one world government movement and all that kind of stuff. And it was the New World Order idea. Well, the New World Order was an alliance of democracies. The greatest move towards quote unquote a New World Order, which is an alliance of democracies doing their own thing, is Biden's phone call. So even though he's not a Mason, that would be the culmination of what we think would be best for the world, that every country has democracy amongst its own people, and that to push back against authoritarian governments, theocrats, monarchs, dictators, and the like who impose their will on the people, every country should have the right to choose their own leaders, and those countries that do choose their own leaders should align together to protect themselves against that, which is currently what's happening. A lot of great-grandparents were in the Klan, too. No, they weren't. The Klan's membership was always very small. It's been, in a lot of ways, it's been inflated over time to a bigger threat than it was, at the behest of people who did have grandparents in the Klan. I love your manicure. Glad you're safe. Thank you, Catherine. Me too. Today, Chinese money, Russian disinformation. Yeah. Oh my God, the news I was watching today about Biden's grouping of democracies and how pissed off Russia and China are right now is just... My uncle's 33-degree Scottish Rite Shriner, and I think you're right. That's amazing. He was a pin collector. That's awesome. No, it's okay. We don't mind trolls here. Michael Keane married the actress who played Roxanne Yoink. Okay, moms, be careful. Your great-grandfather was a Mason. That's good. Yeah, it is something I recommend. But you have to, you can't be an atheist and join either. So there's especially on the progressive left and there's a lot of like kind of what I would call virulent atheism. Why are there no black folks in? Why were no black folks allowed as Masons? They were. They still are. What do you mean? A lot of things were segregated in the South initially, and a lot of it early on had to do with birthright, so it came from Scotland and that kind of stuff. So Irish weren't allowed either in some of the lodges for a very long time. Then they started in the South. They started the Prince Hall Masons, which was a black concordant body. Our lodge is one of the oldest in California. It's Lodge 42. There's, there are lodges with lodge numbers up into the hundreds. A dear friend of mine belongs to actually Lodge 666 here it's in the valley. It's in the San Fernando Valley. It's a rather extraordinary number because there's also a 667 and a 668, and that's how many lodges have been made over the years. But 42 is one of the oldest, and I got my first degree. My worshipful master, when I got my degree, is black. And one of the reasons I joined, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, because my grandfather was a Mason, and my dad was not. My uncle was not. That generation kind of skipped it, hippies, and it was not hip to be square back then. By the way, that's also where the phrase square comes from for somebody who doesn't overindulge or imbibe. I chose that lodge for a lot of reasons, and largely because it's a mixed group of people. We have all kinds of human beings in there from all kinds of different backgrounds. It's really great. And there's a story about Truman when he was whistle stopping to run for president again, and he's originally from Indiana, and his lodge was there. His first lodge, he was raised in a lodge in Indiana, and he took a break from his campaigning to go back to his original lodge. And at that time, and this was at a time in America where the idea was that, in a lot of parts of the country, mostly the South, that people were not equal. Truman went there, and the worshipful master at the lodge was a janitor, a black man who was a janitor at a local school. And everybody was like, oh my God, the president's here. And yes, you do your level best comes from that as well. And the worshipful master was like, Mr. President, and Truman famously said, no, you're the only man of distinction here tonight. I'm Brother Harry. And that's what on the level means, that we're all equal. It's about equality. No one's better than anyone else. And Truman, while he was president of the United States, the only person he deferred power to in any circumstance during his entire time as president was to a black janitor at a local school who was running the lodge at that time, because he had been voted in by the membership of a mixed lodge to be the master of the lodge that year. And that story was the turning point in me going, now's the time. I've been thinking about it, so I want to do it. Sorry how dad joke inbound, the only Masons you should fear is Mason Williams because he had classical gas. Oh, that's terrible. Kenneth. So I always loved that story. It's true. It's a true story. And it spoke to the honor of his worth as a man and as a Mason. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to check out a lodge nearby. So I looked around. The oldest lodge in Southern California was not far from my apartment at the time, my house at the time. And I'm like, okay, being with a lodge that's been around for a long time is great. So I'll do that. The older ones, if you're going for history and tradition, and that's kind of the point, then I'm going to go to the oldest lodge. So I looked it up, and the number for the lodge, the phone number for the lodge, was the same phone number as my first cell phone, but for the area code. 763-4636. That was my phone number when I moved to LA, when I first got a cell phone, when they first started to come out, my old flip phone. And that was the same number as the lodge. Also, the lodge number 42, I'm a huge Douglas Adams fan. And 42 is the answer, if you'll recall, if you're a Douglas Adams fan, to the question of life, the universe, and everything. Which I was like, that's hilarious and amazing. The meaning to the question of life, the universe, and everything is 42, and that's the that's the number of my lodge. So I was like, all right, this could be cool. So I go and I show up, and the first dinner I went to, everybody was really cool, and they're all like we had like our, I think, yeah, it was like every member of the line, every officer was somebody of a different race at that particular lodge at the time. It was kind of, magic timing. It was pretty great. And I didn't know how to get in, though. And I'm like out front, and I'm like, all right, where do I go? And I'm a little nervous because I've never been there before. I'm like, this is kind of a big step. And there's this super old guy walking down the sidewalk. He just walks past the place and walks down. And I watch him go, and then he kind of goes to the end of the block, and then he turns around and he starts coming back. And I was like, maybe I'm early and maybe he's coming here. And I walk up to him, and he's got a Masonic pin on, and he's 90 years old. He was the I won't tell you his like position in the lodge, but he was basically he did the prayers. Ancient. He was actually 87 at the time. He stayed with us for a little longer. He's been passed. His was one of the funerals that I became in charge of the funerals for a while. I put together our kind of funeral packets, and then I would go and be part of them. I'd organize some of them, and I got to talk to him, and he was wearing a Masonic pin, and he's super old. And so it was really nice to see this old gentleman out there, and I was like, this is a sweet thing, and we had a great conversation, and he ended up taking me in to the lodge, and then that's when I met everybody. And then fast forward, overachiever that I always seek to be, I ended up going to become an officer. He was the Grand Poobah, yes. Truman was not a member of the Indiana Lodge. He went to services there. He was not a member of that lodge. He was a member of the Kansas Lodge at the time. That was the lodge he was raised in. You're only a member of one lodge at a time, or at least especially back then. Now there's a lot of appendant lodges. So, yeah, I am a Master Mason. Yeah, if you live in Kansas, you can go to Truman's museum, the Truman Library, which is really fantastic. I've taken my kid there a couple times, and you can see his apron is on display there. Well, Kansas City, Missouri Lodge, yes, because he's on the other side. You pay for forced friendship? I do. No one's forced to be your friend in it. Openly gay couples can be Masons? Of course. I mean, if they're men. Master Mason 0166. Right. Can Masons be gay? Of course they can. How many men are Masons? I mean, worldwide, millions. Is there a connection between Masons and trade work? Yes. I mean, besides the allegorical physical work, yeah. Yeah, not a lot of preachers join. Yes, that's true. Because it's hard to keep your mouth shut about your. I always loved, Pike's statement about religion, which is, everyone is entitled to their own unique mistake. Do your martial arts, go show your muscle. Yes, well, I don't know that Elizabeth. I don't know if that's in opposition to or in concordance with. Oh, is somebody having a meltdown in there? I see. It would have to be Facebook, wouldn't it? Where somebody says that I'm a Satanist, right? Is video not synced? The audio is just me. I don't know. Is the audio syncing okay? Is that all right with everybody? Yeah, if you start talking about masonry on Facebook, all the Russian trolls come out. They don't like that there's an organization that supports democracy both internally and externally. Also, the idea of religious plurality, which is what the founders had in mind, they also find that offensive. Am I a sadist? No. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Democracy is for fools and tyrants. There you go. See? They'll let you know who they are over time. Francie says, "My Jesus is kind." Indeed, one would say the example of kindness. Wait, is this scroll? Yeah, it's going down. Sorry, I couldn't tell which way my chat was scrolling. Your husband's asked to join a lodge. Should he? What about Eastern Star? Are they still around? Eastern Star is still around. If he's if he's been asked to join, then that's not a real lodge. No one will ever ask you to join. You have to ask. Oh, I see. That's what the troll alert was about, that person. It is Facebook, though, so. Your grandparents were elks? How are your hooves? Sorry. My mom's joined the elk lodge. Well, Masons are, let's see, picky. Masons are picky. My uncles and grandpa wouldn't call a job done unless it was perfect. Yes, they are. Oh, and by the way, there's a picture of Truman in our lodge. That was the other thing that I was tying back to that. When I showed up at the lodge and I went for the first time, when I was finally, yes, you have to seek enlightenment. That's exactly right. It is not brought to you. But yeah, so when I finally got in the lodge, there was right in the entryway. There's a big picture of Truman, and I was like, "What are the odds?" Because there's, Gerald Ford was a Mason. There's been other presidents that were Masons. If you ever get a chance, they do tours of the Philadelphia Grand Lodge building, which is in downtown Philly. It's amazing. It's a giant bronze statue of Ben Franklin handing George Washington his Masonic apron when he got it. And then there's a giant one inside of Ben Franklin in his Masonic apron as well. It's really awesome. And they'll give you tours because there are multiple different lodges. They have different lodges sort of theme their rituals and their gatherings around certain ideas. So there's like a bunch of different there's like an Egyptian one, and there's like a old kind of Tudor looking one from like the Elizabethan era inside. The building is beautiful. Cheers, Somewhere in Time. That's right. Only president to ever play football at Michigan. Gerald Ford is right. Yeah, the trolls will come out. All I had to do was say the word Freemason, and I think it. That's as soon as somebody asks. Yeah. They have to, because, unless, all their conspiracies are tied around the same shit, So they'll, if you bring up one piece of it, if I started talking about the moon landing, does my son have automatic Masonic entry? No, it's easier for him to join if he chose to in his life, but you're not automatically anything. The Masons have their own Bible? No. We do not. There is a Bible that you can get that says, like a Masonic Bible, but it only has like descriptors around it, the stories and kind of what they allegorically mean. But the internal writings of the Bible are identical to the Bible. It's got to be. Otherwise, it's not the Bible. I took my oath on a Holy Bible, on a Christian Bible. Is there Black Masons like there's a Black Elks Lodge? Yes, but it's not exclusive, because there's a lot of black guys in my lodge. Always have been. There are segregated lodges. They're only black segregated lodges. Prince Hall Masons are segregated technically, but I don't think that these days, I don't know that any Prince Hall lodge would stop a white person or an Asian person or something from joining. Doesn't matter as much as it used to. It's just more about kind of the camaraderie of the people you're hanging out with. And if all you can do is... Robin, are you talking to someone in particular? Oh, the moon landing. That was obviously fake, right? Well, that would see, Christopher. That's what makes you a fake Christian. Makes me smile knowing that you'll spend eternity in hell. The fact that you would revel in that for anyone is a distinction that proves to us all that you are you are false in your beliefs. You're a blasphemer, and everything that you say we should dismiss as ridiculous. That's easy. Thanks. But thanks for being here and typing in the chat, because nothing raises my algorithmic expansion plans. Nothing expands my algorithmic expansion like that. So, well, yeah, I know, 524 people in the chat already. Yeah, and on a morning show. Yeah. Yeah, that person is definitely not following Christian's teachings. Christian teachings at all. I mean, if there's anybody in this chat that is acting less like a Christian than the person that we're describing, the Christopher that is apparently yelling at everyone, I don't know who is. Yeah. Your cousin is Order of the Eastern Star. Well, tell her I said hello. Just like people who say they're pro-life but are okay with the death penalty. Yes, that's right. Just watched Steph and then came over here. Oh, that's lovely. It's a good bounce over. Yeah. Let's see. YouTube. We do rock. It's true. So if you start talking about flat Earth, do your numbers go up? Probably. The Earth is round, though. Aren't women second-class citizens in Masons? No, not at all. Second-class citizens is ridiculous. No. You think he's 11 years old on his mom's computer? I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm gonna guess serial killer Trump is not a Freemason. I'm going to guess that this person is a serial killer, probably with in prison, but they get computer privileges. Come on now. Jesus was always wishing folks ill. Yes, exactly. Do you have to have religious convictions to be a Mason? No, you just have to believe in an afterlife and a supreme being. So all religions are welcome. You just can't be an atheist. Facebook is a hellhole. Yeah, it is. What does the Order of the Eastern Star do? I don't know, because I'm not a woman and I'm not a member. And I have no interest. They are welcome to have their own thing. Where women are not allowed, they are considered not of the same class as men by men, for men, because of... No. That's not why they're not there. It is not the same thing. Are aliens considered superior beings? No. Can you be a non-theist? Yeah, you can believe in it, in sort of a universal consciousness, that kind of idea. Yeah, you can have your own religious or spiritual beliefs and join. Facebook has turned into right, wrong, troll. Yes, that's true. Okay, yeah, we clearly have a paint huffer on Facebook. Do Masons do special what? Funeral rites, yes. I believe men and women should have separate things. What? Are you going to Stuttering John's house? Yes, I am, this afternoon at some point. Yeah, Facebook, yeah, definitely. Facebook, it's where fake Christians go to basically destroy Christianity from the inside out, to take everything that Jesus exemplified in his behavior and in his teachings and throw them out the window. Yeah, that's effectively what Facebook Christianity is these days. It's a desecration of everything that Christ stood for. And if you're going to be, let's say you were a Satanist and you wanted to actually undermine Christianity, you wouldn't just come out and say you were a Satanist. You would pretend to be a Christian and act horribly towards everyone, especially on social media, because you don't have to do it in person. And you would type all kinds of mean stuff and claim your own Christianity at the same time. Do you think they're getting what I'm saying, or do you think they're completely lost? They don't think it's them, do they? They don't realize that's what they're doing? All right. Yeah, it's GOP Christianity, but especially on Facebook, because you don't actually have to live up to any standards. You can be an anonymous account, you can crap all over it, and nothing would be more detrimental to Christianity and the movement of Christianity, or people joining Christianity, than people who claim to be Christians acting horribly in public or online, which is an artificial form of public, and then you can, and that would drive down the numbers. That's one of the reasons why church numbers have gone down in the United States, is because of the behavior of people who would be, the evangelicals especially, who are overt Christians. They wear the labels, they wear the pins, they, like Mike Lindell, they wear a cross in advertisement, but they behave like shit. They're terrible people, one-to-one. And it turns people away, because if this person is a representative of this religion or this belief system, then that religious belief system must be awful. And so that's what Facebook hyper-Christian trolls, really are. That's what they're there for. They're not actually Christians. I don't believe for a second that that person who's typing that crap is actually a Christian. A real Christian wouldn't behave like that. They would pray for someone. They would offer, a message of goodness. If you're simply decrying or your fellow human beings, you don't have any interest in salvation. Your entire worth is in the destruction of Christianity. I noticed they haven't typed in a couple of seconds since I've been talking, so I must have I struck a nerve. They don't understand that wearing a cross is considered a false idol. That's the graven images idea. I think people can show who they are if they want to, but the problem is if your symbology, if just wearing the cross, for example, is there in lieu of your behavior, then that's false. Then that's creating a false idol. It's like I've said many times that taking the Lord's name in vain is not saying God damn it or Jesus Christ or something in an exclamation. That's not taking the Lord's name in vain. Taking the Lord's name in vain literally is claiming that you are religious, you have deep abiding beliefs, as cover for hateful behavior, sinful behavior. I'm a man of God, therefore, I have the right to treat you like garbage or be mean or whatever, because I was sent here by God. God's on my side while I treat you like crap. That's what taking the Lord's name in vain means, technically, in the Bible. You claim to be religious and act, in a hypocritical and destructive way. People can believe that, and it's fine to not like it when people, exclaim, Jesus Christ and yell it out like that. They can say that's also taking the Lord's name in vain or using it without purpose. But that's not the meaning in the Bible. That's not the meaning of the actual text. Why would God care? What it is that it's hypocrisy. That's why, Jesus even warned of that in the New Testament. The hypocrites are the monsters. They're the worst because they take something good and make it evil. It is one thing to act on your own personal evil. A lord is a English word for the owner of land in particular, and in this one it pertains to the entirety of the earth, so they use that word interchangeably. Yeah. Hold on. Hal, you sound defensive on 1.5 speed. Do I? Are you speeding me up to catch up? I see. Yeah, the Westboro Baptist Church is exactly that. Religion is man-made, yes, but spiritual belief isn't. Just because it's man-made doesn't make it bad. You're alive because of a lot of quote-unquote man-made things. Kinnison said Jesus isn't coming back because there's crosses everywhere. Yeah, do you think he's going to even want to... Actually, that was Bill Hicks. You think he's going to want to see a cross? It's like wearing a rifle and going up to Jackie Onassis and going, just thinking of John. Wearing of the cross, when it has meaning, is that you, in theory, you recognize that a great sacrifice was made for you to clean up the permanent sins of mankind, the Adam and Eve level sins, so they no longer pertain to you, so you're no longer burdened by hell and should seek only heaven, meaning you can spend all your time not trying to undo something you were not alive for, but start working to make the place better. That's the point. I just saw an orb floating in front of me. Did you? I think it just might have been my kombucha. I'm in LA after all. They hand you a bottle of kombucha once you hit the city line. hold on, just froze up for a second. My chat stopped all of a sudden. There you go. That's what you just said about your cross, Pauline? Oh, that's good. All right. Thanks. I hope the orb was that the house isn't haunted. It's entirely possible. Why am I have to reload the favorite comments? All the comments. Can you be a Christian witch or warlock? That's a good question. I mean, I think that would go to the belief systems of like early Christians, probably, yeah. The cross was a torture device like the gallows. Yes, and that's what it's supposed to symbolize, was that as awful as this thing was, he overcame it. Native Americans said if whites were examples of Christian, they didn't want to be Christian. Yes, but those very same people also, in a lot of cases, murdered the people who were there before them. Human beings are the same. There are the noble savage idea is just as disdainful of the humanity of Native Americans as it is to, applied to any other group. The Order of the Eastern Star is not an auxiliary club supporting Masons. No, it is something that women do on their own. That is your cross to bear, right? I'll add time. Oh, thanks for using the ad time, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Give a thumbs up, all of that kind of stuff. I keep forgetting that, especially when we get off into a conversation about these kind of things. Well, Anita, I'm glad you're here. Bill Hicks is my Jesus. Actually, comedy is my religion. Carl is my God. I pray to George. It's he's a good stand-in. Yeah, and that's the thing, Professor Funbags. The important thing is that you don't have to be told what to believe. Big fat dump of Christians' values, all easy. Kindness, caring, and compassion is what it's all about. Exactly. Caught your show when you were in KC. Oh yeah, that was fun. You mean Robin? You mean the dude? Like when I did that, the other show or my own? Yeah, Jesus is not supposed to be on the cross of the jewelry, is it? No. Yeah. What's a heretic? I would argue that a heretic is anyone is only defined by the religiously orthodox. I was raised Methodist, and they welcome all. Yeah, my grandparents were Methodist. On my dad's side. I believe the tithing percent or giving is a church thing. God does not need your money. No, but you got to keep a roof up. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't, just because people misuse something doesn't mean the thing itself lacks use. There's a lot of that these days. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, imagine throwing out the entire idea of using debit cards because some people steal PIN numbers. You know what I mean? There's a lot of baby out with the bathwater going on these days. People always argue about religion and their beliefs. Yeah, except, Matt, that's what, Masonry, among other things, has sought to remedy, because it is a place where people of different, different religions can get together peacefully. Which, again, is something that dictators and authoritarians and theocrats don't want. So many flavors of religion. I kind of make my own spiritual beliefs based on my human understanding, which will probably learn the flaws someday. God has loved me. Yeah, it's a good space to be in. And again, like I said, Albert Pike said, everyone is welcome to their own unique mistake. If you think you have to wear your hat on backwards and dance a jig for God to love you, then fine. As long as you don't force other people to do it. Was Zoltan a Mason? No, he was. He's got his own issues. Done. Feel like shit today. Had to shoot it. Oh, sorry about that, Narg. I know the feeling. I love Hicks' CNN routine about looking out his back door and hearing crickets. Exactly. The history of the last 2,000 years consisted of wars, political upheavals, destruction of entire civilizations in the name of the Nazarene. Well, no, obviously, not all the wars were fought over that. The Stalinist wars, the Maoist wars, those have nothing to do with quote unquote the Nazarene. I would argue that the rest of the world fighting the Nazis because of what they were doing to the Jews who don't believe in the Nazarene, as it were, wouldn't qualify at all. The United States Civil War, I would argue was not a religious war ultimately. Although a lot of the abolitionist movement was Christian. So no, the last 2,000 years of wars does not qualify. Most of them were resource wars. And then some of them were ideological wars in that if we let this ideology gain ground, it will mean murder and sorrow for many people. Yeah, exactly. I believe in the things Jesus said, whether my church lives up to them or not. That's exactly right. I mean, that's why, So you think churches shouldn't be taxed? No, I don't. Because the minute they're taxed, they become a specific business, and in that specific business, they have more sway. And then by volume, then the church starts to be able to write laws. It's bad enough that they can manipulate their flock. It's worse if they would have a legal right, to lobby for control or have religious laws set. If Adam and Eve had Cain, who had the rest? Oh, clearly the aliens. I don't know. Fake Christians are going to have a surprise on the Day of Judgment, a real big surprise. Yeah, well, one would think that would be they'll be the most shocked. Scientology should be taxed? No, for the reason that other churches shouldn't either. I mean, it's ridiculous, but let it die on its own merits. Freedom means putting up with a lot of uncomfortable shit. Civil War was the war over slaves, end of story. Right. It was not about Christianity as a... I mean, again, unless you consider the fact that the deists and Christians that were against it in the North, specifically for moral reasons, most of their reasoning came from their religious beliefs, and none of the reasoning for keeping it in the South was based on religion, even though slavery was mentioned in the Bible and the like. Yeah, that's why you want the church and the state kept separate, because once you start taxing them, then they have more of a say. And we'll all talk about money and speech and that kind of stuff. Religion destroyed most indigenous communities all over the world, including Canada. We closed our last residential school in 1996. No, not all the indigenous communities all over the world by any stretch. Adam and Eve became the Jews. Sure, I guess if you're a hardliner. Orthodoxy, I would argue, is of any type is antithetical to democracy, because your belief system must supersede, the way of the world. That's why Christianity, in a lot of ways, as a monotheistic religion, and I definitely fall, without getting too deeply into my belief system, into the value of some of the polytheistic religions, and especially in Europe, that if a monotheistic religion had not taken over Europe and Europeans had come to discover the new world, as it were, they would have fused better with the natives than had they had this monotheistic religion sort of as the central driving force. That said, it was the shock of this particular monotheistic religion, Christianity, having the idea that give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and that you could pray in a closet and you don't need a church, that ultimately led to the Protestant Reformation, that led to people being able to live outside of a dictatorial church. Slavery was profitable. Why there was a war. Lose their bottom line. Replace the human engines that did the work for them. Yeah. Yes. And by the way, there were was it 6 Native American tribes that kept their slaves for a year after the Civil War, didn't give up their slaves. They had black slaves and other natives that they kept as, other indigenous people that they kept as slaves. Slavery still exists in the world today and should be eradicated. Well, the question of the church being patriarchal because God is seen as the father is about as offensive as the idea that the earth is the mother. Nobody decries Mother Earth as being sexist. It's allegorical. And the only reason it's father largely is quite frankly that fathers tended to discipline the children, specifically the boys, with physical violence forever. And if somebody was going to do it, it was going to be the father. And so if you wanted to threaten someone, what tribe had slaves? Many of them did. The Cree, the Cherokee had slaves. What if a Scientologist wanted to be a Mason? Yeah, technically they could, I guess. I would. I have never met one. You don't need Jesus, period? No. Well, it isn't about need. What institution has power? Depends on where you are. Most did, but not chattel slavery. Well, they didn't sell them. They kept them as property. They just didn't sell them. That was the thing. Have I ever read Under the Banner of Heaven? I have not. Not the white version of slave? Yeah, no. Do you know where the word slave comes from? Slavic, because of Eastern Europeans being used as slaves. We are all slaves to money. No, we're not. And it is absurdly offensive to assume that because someone goes to a job with some regularity and gets paid a wage to do something, that they have any right to claim the same kind of hardship that people sold to another person went through. It's absurd. I mean, talk about offensive thoughts. The fact if you can quit your job, even if it's hard, even if it's difficult to find another one, you are not a slave. And to claim that word around something where you have any options is to downplay. What do you mean white versions, V. Gabriel? If you force someone to work, and they don't want to, and you keep them from being free while you do it, who cares if you got them from a mile away or 1,000? Sick of being defined by white men. You aren't. What? How is that you being defined? I quit my job. There you go, Alan. That's my point. If you can quit your job, then you're not a slave. Slaves could never quit. Can you imagine actually owning a human being? No, but that's because I was raised now. You don't believe in white Jesus? So? He was more than likely Arabic looking. Difference does it make? It's, I mean, technically speaking, if you're talking about the Son of God, the material expression of that person had largely to do with where they showed up. You can quit your job and live in a van down by the river, right? I think she said virgin. No, virgin. Don't take the bait. Okay. Africans had slaves but could work to be free and a citizen of the culture that enslaved them. Not always, Vince. James Ray Top says discussion. I'd be Freemason. James Ray Top. Today's discussion is the Freemasons and religious slaves. No meltdown. Yeah, right. Jesus wasn't European. Jesus wasn't white. So, no, he was. Well, I mean, that's your definition of whether you think Jews are white or not, and that whole thing. I'm not going to even step into that idea. It doesn't matter. Like it's and again, this falls very comfortably into the conversation that I was having earlier, that everyone is welcome to their own mistake, their own unique mistake. It's about your behavior, not about this version. See, I see white Jews everywhere. I feel like it's false representation. Well, then you're not seeing the behavior of the Christians, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Do you have any idea how necessary it was for generations of the people that you're talking about to look at a Jesus that looked kind of like them and align their behavior with them, and the minute they started not doing it is when they started acting like assholes? Jesus was originally from West Virginia, wasn't he? That's the Mormon idea. He was not from there. He just lived there for like 6 weeks or something. Yes, it's what's in Christ that matters. It's what it represents to you. Thanks, Pat. Yes, this is a Sonic temple. But again, the whole purpose of this argument, the fact that people are getting baited into this argument about that part of it, misses the entire purpose of the lessons they're in. And it's a great way to procrastinate away from the moral question of it. The value of religion to me is only in how it informs you morally. And if it lets me know, based on your membership in that group, whether morally you are someone that I could trust and that you consider the effects of your action beyond your own life. And that's what it's supposed to do. If you could say, well, I'm a Methodist, or I'm a Lutheran, or I'm Jewish, or I'm Muslim, or whatever, that's sort of a shorthand to the people you're talking to that lets them know morally, ethically, what matters to you and where you think you're going after this whole thing's over. And it should inform that person. The problem in a lot of this discussion that I'm seeing is that people getting stuck in the minutia of what they've been sold about tribalism and not understanding that shorthand, that, oh, I'm a Christian, therefore, that you used to be able to take for granted to some degree, has been either weaponized, like by our earlier troll, into driving the conversation about Christianity into the churches should be taxed and Joel Osteen's an asshole, instead of what does it tell me about you and how are you going to allow the teachings of whatever you were brought up in to inform who you are. Laura Ingram says Santa Claus is white a little bit. Well, he's based on a real German dude. He was based on a white saint. Who cares? The problem in that argument is not that he is or whatever. He's supposed to represent, again, a moral pathway for kids, so he can be whatever. But throwing out where he came from initially is also the St. Nicholas character comes largely from the early pagan religions in Europe that were decimated by the monotheistic religions. And as much as people decry the sprawl of monotheistic religions across the indigenous world, they leave out the fact that they wiped out the pagan religions largely of Europe for a very long time and caused a behavior shift in Europe in some ways around that idea, which led to the deified monarchs that we have in Europe. had they been allowed to stand as the tribes they were, like I said, they would have blended with the rest of the world a lot better. The St. Nicholas character as a saint was usurped, essentially, as was the Christian holidays of Christmas, the timing of it, because arguably, if Jesus was born as an actual person, more than likely he was born in somewhere in like June or May, depending on who you ask. But the birthday of the 25th is around, particularly dealing with European seasonal affected disorder. That's what all of our holidays are lined up to do, is get you through the winter while teaching you to, behave better. That's why we have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and then Valentine's Day. It's literally like early tribes of Europe, trying to keep their people alive through really rough weather. Yeah, that's great, Mandy. Yes, tell kid, sun is black, and we visit a black Santa Claus and a white Santa Claus, and my message is you never know who the real one is. That's great. And again, that's about, how you deal with, sinful behavior in kids, with, especially as we move away from, corporal punishment and towards the idea that even seeking reward for good deeds is still, low vibration. Yeah, Christmas was to replace the pagan holiday of Yule, exactly, which was there to basically get everybody through the winter. Who cares, BS? It's a privileged way of thinking. If Jesus was always depicted as black, it would be a difference. Well, he isn't. He was, like I said, Israeli or Jewish looking. Unless you're a member of the Black Hebrew Israelites, in which case, yikes. Yeah, exactly, Robin. That's, it's about the energy of it. And if you get caught up in that minutia or fighting about it, then that's exactly antithetical to the very teachings. Yeah, Roman Saturnala, right. Low vibration can be remedied with AA batteries. Really? AA? I would think C, Greg. I'm aging myself. Thank you. My Catholic half-brother committed suicide, so I agree with you. So tortured in life deserves rest. Yes, I don't think that's a sin. I think it's a mistake. And that's where the word sin comes from. It's interesting that we talk about sin and sinners and sin and sinner. Well, sin comes from an archery term in Old English, which is how it made its translation into the King James, which was the same root as sine wave, wavering. We know that sine waves move or whatever, and to sin in archery is to be just off the bullseye, and the solution is gentle correction. It's not grab the fucking bow and break it, which is seemingly how a lot of people get into this. The solstice shows when the earth starts tilting. Yeah. And again, you can say, well, they just did this. The early religions and the pagans and blah, 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 they just did this because they were just looking at the environment. Or you could say that the environment operates in an orchestra created by something, in line with the beliefs of the maker. So it doesn't really, that argument always zeroes out. Yeah, you came right in time, Kitchy. Sin is where the fun is, right? That's right, Sargal. Sin is an example of gentle correction. That's why there were only a few deadly sins, right? Oh, thanks, John. Let's see. Never know. Yeah. I just, again, I would like to say for the record, considering the conversation we've just been having over this last little bit, especially, and the seed of it and where it kind of came out from this incredibly unchristian person coming in trying to throw a monkey wrench in, where to some degree they were successful. And if you look at the back and forth about the minutiae of Christianity and the uncharitable behavior that people exude on both sides of this argument, or from the periphery of this argument about religious beliefs or people's spiritual beliefs, or whether it's whether someone means well as a myth, like let this stuff go, or decries people's belief in these things as myths and makes them stupid, like all the people who talk about sky fairies and shit like that when they talk about people's religious beliefs. That ultimately, the one thing I would like to draw your attention to in the entirety of this conversation, from the sublime to the ridiculous, from the supportive to the dismissive, is that in the United States of America, you and I am on your interwebs, floating around and coming into your home or your brain pan via headphones or a television set or whatever, your iPad, your laptop, a second monitor while you're doing other stuff. I'm coming into your home, and we are having this discussion about this very thing in a way that people 150 years ago, 200 years ago, and even today in some parts of the world could not have. Where you have the absolute freedom to dismiss these beliefs as completely fallacious or even vile, or support them completely with every depth of your being and everything in between. And that's the miracle, for me, of this country and the Enlightenment. That's the root of when I have my moments of patriotism that make the left uncomfortable around me. That's where they come from the recognition that the conversation we are having, even going so far as to claim that, laying claim to the idea that you're a slave because you have a salaried job. Those ideas. And standing that up against the image I think many of us have in our heads of the Tiananmen Square man standing in front of the tank. Or people who are, religious Yazidis or Coptic Christians or less Orthodox Muslims in part of the world. Or women or people of, from the LGBT and T community in different parts of the world, you have freedoms to discuss all aspects of your feelings about these things, make your case fully, as virulently and as strongly as you want to, without any fear of being wiped off the face of the earth. And most of the systems that we decry as being Cro-Magnon or overly orthodox or violent or whatever from 200, much less 400 years ago, no one in that time scale has had that as their reality. Everything they said could lead them to get killed. Everything. If you went against the hierarchy, if you were like, this is all heretics. Everything that in here, something you have said today would have qualified as heresy somewhere on the earth. In some places, like I said, in pockets around the world, and increasingly, by the way, smaller pockets around the world, that still happens. But in the vast majority of the world, yes, that's right, Rodder. People have died over the thoughts you are having right at this moment and just typing in. And just a few hundred years ago, that was an impossibility. I don't think you grasp how impossible it was. And so that's why I do everything that I do on my show with a dance of joy around it, and why we laugh as much as we do politically about the things, the issues, as serious as I take them, because I also know that I am able in this situation to criticize these things in the nest that democracy has born. And that's, I mean, and ultimately that's why I'm a Mason. That's why it mattered to me. So while there's value in looking back and making sure we don't recreate some of the worst aspects of humanity, and we continue to work to wipe out those things that keep people from being able to live freely and express themselves fully without the, under the fear of death, then we still got work to do. But we do that work not pretending that we are living in the same situation that people were living in 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. And I'm not going to judge those people at that time for not saying everything that we can just rando talk, like everybody can get in a tweet storm. I can say anything I goddamn well please. That's true. But you can only do it because lots of people died before you ever were a thought in your parents' mind to get you there, to tee you up. And that is a gift none of us can repay. In the Western world especially, the worst you've got it is better than some kings who lived and died. It's just true, materially true. And so you have to have a certain baseline of respect for that, I feel. This is for me. I'm not telling anybody how to live. That you're standing on that pile of bricks that were laid by other people. If Jesus came back today, they'd be a stand-up comedian. I don't know where you'd ever get that idea. This is why it's why I'm a patriot. Because I'm rational. Thanks, Tobias. It's a good conversation to have. That hits the hardest. Waking up, being able to grind coffee is the real blessing. I mean, think about that for a second. Think about the fact that you were able to go to a store and buy nearly anything you wanted, and you chose to get coffee, to grind your own coffee, to make it. And there are people who lived and died on multiple continents and over the years who never even knew what coffee was. Michael, we're just glad you're here typing. Take your time, do what you got to do. Thanks, Diane. Yes, they are awesome guitars. It's crucial to how you talk about things. Thanks, Doyle. It is. I mean, I'm glad we got on this conversation. This all started with a flat tire, by the way. This whole conversation, today's entire show, came simply out of me having a flat tire. So, as we head into the Christian holiday of Christmas, feeling whatever you feel about Santa Claus and all that, like, because I texted this, I tweeted this out yesterday, but like the Santa Inc. thing and using Santa and ads for like Taco Bell or Best Buy, I think is a dick move. You should just leave it to children. There's some stuff that I find valuable for kids that we should just leave alone. And I know people don't have to. They have every right to do whatever they want with it. But my opinion of what they do with it is what matters in my life, because it defines what my morals are, my belief system. And that definition, how I react to things, tells you whether or not you could or would or should trust me in how I interpret other things in life. And thanks, Christina. Yeah, hair's a bit shiny today. It looks, the light above me makes my hair look like flat or dusty. I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out. It's that light right there. But it's why I've made the case many times that it's why I support keeping it legal to burn the flag, because the American flag is the only one you can burn, and by doing that you make it stronger because it represents freedom, even the uncomfortable ones. So when someone burns a flag, it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Strike it down and it only becomes stronger. Oh, thanks, Roderick, for the flat tire fun. And my personal thanks for being genuine. Oh, man, thank you, Roderick. I appreciate that. Just like my new nails. Right, yes. Pampered. $17. And look how fancy you guys think I am all of a sudden. Yes, that's true. Flat tire and a manicure. That's what it started with. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for being here and listening to this. Because I think this is part of the conversation that gets left out a lot. No, not only in America, but it started here. And we have a responsibility, because it started here, to live up to the best values of that. And again, this goes back to our earlier discussion about being an example of your belief system. It's always more important than the symbols that you have. Now, symbols have resonant value. You can resonate to them. Seeing them is a reminder. It's quicker than words. And so, if you hold the cross, for example, up to a standard, then wearing that cross should show that standard to other people. And other people wearing it, when you see it, should be a constant reminder of how you should be better. And you make the decision what those symbols mean to you. You show me who you are by your reaction to those symbols, what you take away from seeing them. And if you don't believe me that you do that, and that you do tell me more about you when you see a religious or pagan symbol or something, or even the Masonic square and compass, how you react to those things tells me about you. And if you don't believe me, ask the Tibetans how they feel about the Nazi use of the swastika. Because I don't see anybody in a bum rush to give the swastika back to the Tibetans as far as an emblem and wear it as a sign of good luck to show their belief in, free Tibet and all those kinds of things. It's a very important symbol. It's all over the place when you go over there. It goes the other direction. Do you think people are going to notice? Anybody laying claim? I think I'll wear a swastika just to bring it back, to reclaim it. No, they let the bad people have it. Same as that OK bullshit, like the OK symbol being white supremacist. I think that's wrong. There are some things that obviously one man is not going to bring back the return the swastika to the Tibetans after all this time, not for 1,000 years. Any more than I could bring back the chaplain mustache and get away with it. When I see our flag now, I fear for my life. That again, Kayana, that speaks more to you and how you are allowing that to happen. And I am not going to allow that. I've taken the lesson of the Nazis and the Tibetan religious design, and I don't let any of that move. So that's why I wear flags. It's on my clothing and why I show them and why I don't have a problem with them. It's why I didn't stop using the OK symbol, because anytime I want to, emulate Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, because, oh my God, some bad people are now using it to mean something else. Well, fuck them. They're a small group and they're not going to take that from the rest of us. Forget it. And so again, if you see a religious symbol, if you see a Star of David, you see it, and like, I love how people have these coexist bumper stickers on their car, and if you talk to them, they think each one of those symbols is an act of violence. It's silly. If you're going to have a standard, live up to it. So, hi, Environmental Coffee House. Hello. So, I am always going to, if something has value for me, stand right next to it, even if other people try to take it over. And if anybody questions why, a lot of bad people like that too. Well, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You're just letting them have everything. And I'm not going to do it. Because if you let them, they will take every symbol around you and they will use it to resonate their message now and forevermore. Thanks, Steven. Looks like you picked a bad day to quit amphetamines. I like your picture on YouTube picture. It's from Airplane. Unsavory groups co-op existing symbols so they can secretly telegraph to their followers. The non-followers do not understand the underlying meaning. Yes, and they usurp the good stuff so that they can take advantage of it. And again, this goes back to, Mike Lindell's faux Christianity, wearing a cross in advertisements because he's trying to get a certain audience that uses that shorthand to buy his stuff. Yes, and God did give rock and roll to us. Thank you, Robin. Thank you for reminding me of the saddest music video in the world, because that's the last time Eric Carr played with the band. He was wearing a wig in that because he had cancer, and he was a sweetheart, and he died on the same day as Freddie Mercury, and Freddie Mercury's death buried the people's awareness of him. So we in the KISS community, KISS fan for life, always remember Eric Carr on that day. Hey, Lolima. Thank you guys for subscribing and hanging out, too. These morning shows, I was a bit concerned when I first started adding them because of the time element, that, like, would I be able to fill time? Well, you know me. I can chat forever. But that it would, you get a 30% sales bump by wearing the cross. That's exactly right. And if you let them, that's what happens. Remember, black people invented rock and roll. Well, the term was actually coined by Alan Free, the Cleveland disc jockey. Eric Carr was indeed awesome. Hell, I have some creepy followers. Well, thanks. All I can say, James, is thanks for following. Eric Carr went to your high school in New York City? Oh, that's amazing. Such a good human. Just added 4,000 subscribers in the last couple of days. Holy smokes. Morning shows are happier because we don't have to watch assholes. Well, some would disagree with you. Yes, keep calm and Hal. That's what we'll do. Oh, thanks, Lolima. I appreciate that. But then AC/DC beats Kiss, in your opinion? Yeah, but none of Kiss's band members have gone to jail for dealing meth or anything. Whatever that crime was. Thanks, five eggs and ham. I agree. I mean, I kind of jokingly do it. Yeah. Yeah, the chat goes by so fast that I can't catch all of it. I apologize if something goes by. I love when somebody, especially when a troll writes something in the chat, and like, you won't even answer my thing, and like, I didn't even see it. I was talking, and the chat went by, and it happened or whatever. But I love the fact that people are so self-involved that they're like, you won't even address my point from like 2 hours ago. What point? I don't have to write it again. All right. Okay. I still can't believe Gene Simmons is sober. Well, he's not sober. He just never drank. I never drank either. I wouldn't consider myself sober. Hey, Foggy, you dragged this out onto the field. You don't expect I won't give it a kick or two. That's how it works. Which is my go-to guitar amp combo? Well, that ESP. Some people know I have a dupe of that. Those are really cheap guitars. This white one right here. I'm pointing to it now. That's my go-to guitar, and it's I love it. And it's a super cheap guitar. It's not expensive at all. It's like you can buy used ones for $300, but they're just the sort of perfect for my hands. I love them. So I have two white ones. I was only able to find two. And then I have one black one, which isn't quite cut the same way, but I like it a lot still. And then this is my Spider Valve Line 6 amp that I like. It's a tube amp. It's pretty great. But that's the combo. Yeah. Gene was an English teacher. His real name is Chaim Vitz. He's born in Israel. My dad's doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry I missed your life-changing comment. Do I know what a mondegreen is? No. Sorry, like some of the stuff you guys are answering each other, so it's hard for me to tell the difference between stuff you're saying to me specifically or something you're saying to the chat in general. Oh, mondegreen is a misheard song lyric, like excuse me while I kiss this guy, or that kind of thing. Thanks, The Diary of Lorna. I'm glad. That's all I'm trying to do. You thought I had all $10,000 guitars? No. I am born and bred, blue collar. Always have been. I mean, you guys have seen where I came from. But that's the other thing too, is there's a bathroom on the right. Where? That's the garage door. Some people call themselves California sober, just like cannabis. What's that? Never do it? Something? On a dark desert highway, Cool Whip in my hair. Right. That one I have not heard. I guess it was like cool wind in my hair seemed obvious to me in there, but I mean, it must have been quite a party. If you end up with Cool Whip in your hair, success. Do I like acoustic guitars? Yes, I do. I am in LA, yeah. What do you think about Johnny Depp's band? Well, he's been playing forever. He played, anybody who dedicates themselves to the instrument and loves it. Here's what you need to know about bands, okay? I'll hate music, but I'll never hate a band. In that, if you get together and you put some music down and it brings pleasure to somebody, none of my goddamn business. I can say it's not up to the quality of what I like. It's not the style that I like, but there are songs that, if a song touches you, nobody else is allowed to say anything about it. Fuck them. This is not high school. If you are 16 and spending any time going, oh, I fucking hate that band, out of anything more than a reflex from high school, you are wasting your brain pan and your life. It's a knee-jerk reaction that I think is unnecessary. Other than that, I have no opinion. Sorry, my chat froze for a second, so it takes a minute for it to catch up. I don't know what happened. It does that weird, it does this weird thing on the Restream chat. Denying yourself and the occasional drink or occasional use. California sober is not denying yourself the occasional drink or the occasional usage. I see. Well, that's just moderation. Yeah, WW, I think that's a great way of putting it. I don't hate anything. I have a lot of disinterest in a lot of different things. You can't love everything, right? I heard Joe Scarborough has a band. Any good? I have never heard them, and I have no interest. Yeah, I don't know. California sober just sounds like moderation to me, right? I mean, I'm a teetotaler. As we say, I'm straight edge. Whatever you insert your term of choice, but I've never drank, never done drugs, not going to, no interest, never will. I had to step away for a second. Sorry, what the hell do you use to make your hair so perfect? I just CVS mousse. I don't know. I'm not above the occasional off the shelf treatment. Bark at the moon or back at the mall? Oh, bark at the moon. Yeah, something froze up for a second. I apologize. I don't know why I'm apologizing, because I can't do anything about it. It's out of my hands. It has nothing to do with where I am, but there you go. But yeah, I've never done that. I'm a square. It's true. In the old-fashioned sense. The hair is better when it's not straightened. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah. I've done the occasional, straightening of it, but this is it. And it's, I didn't actually do much to my hair this morning. I just got out of bed and ran in here because I was going to have time, because usually I come out here, check the computer. Okay, it's going to be fine. And then Chip's not here. Chip is in Vegas at home. He's not here at the LA home. And he's using drugs in order to self-medicate trauma that you should. Yeah, well, no. Isn't that what everybody's doing? Because you're the host, you have to apologize. That's right. When you get on your hair, I want to start recommending. Okay, good. Yeah, Chip is in Vegas, so he's not here today. But yeah, this is basically just bedhead. I turn my head upside down and then flop it back. Am I ever going to get back to short hair just for me? At some point, I don't doubt. More than likely what happens is I get a job and then they ask me to cut it. Have I ever braided my hair? No, I have not. I'm not above it, though. A part down the middle? All right, I can do that. Anything but square. How really? Well, technically, that's where, again, square is a Freemason term. That's where it comes from. I am technically a square. Because I'm a Mason, right? That's it. Thanks, Kath. I don't want to. I would love to just keep it going for, Yeah. Ever have a man bun? No. I mean, I've had to put my ponytail really high a couple of times because I'm working under my desk and my head sits right on the knot and there's so much of it that it definitely it's a lot. I'm like I can't set my head on the floor. Oh, do we have a Trumper in the Facebook group? At least throw some stars in. If you're gonna randomly roll into a chat room you've never been in before, at least super chat or something to make it worth everyone's while so I can spend the money on gear. Yeah. Going for crystal gale length, yes. Ever use hair thickeners? Yes, I have a hair thickening shampoo. California sober means no hard drugs, just soft drugs like weed. I don't think there are any soft drugs. I have no interest. Your son had lice and they just shave it and now it's long and lustrous and he gets compliments. I have no doubt. My kid's hair is long and lustrous now too. Why are women breastfeeding their cats on planes? Because they're not on the ground at the time? Caffeine is a drug? Not quite. I'm a soft drug. That might be true. White sands? Okay, good. Yes, humidity is a problem because I shift environments. Man. No, well, I would define drugs as more mood altering than just like gear shift drugs like sugar and caffeine, that argument. But that's semantics. It does not change your perception of events. Weed is not a drug, it's an herb used as a drug. That's a silly argument. It's already getting legal. We don't have to go back to the silly early arguments, please. It's a mood-altering substance. If you're altering your mood with it, that's drugs. If you don't want a hardline answer, don't ask a hardliner. Damn it! Sorry, Alan. I didn't miss that one, though. What if that one changed my life? Then, Alan Davis said, you missed my life-changing comment again. There's a very strong chance that how do you, don't sell yourself short, Alan. This very one might be a life-changing comment. See what I mean? You never know the good you're doing. All drugs come from plants. That's not true. It's a lot of drugs are the results of chemicals. Now, I suppose if you fall into the anything that occurs is natural because we're natural and we make it, and therefore nature is in everything. If you want to go that direction, then cool. Nuclear power, space travel, all of it's this. When humanity's all drugs come from plants. No, they don't. A lot of them come from chemicals, and we mix them. They don't come from space. I'm saying that human beings creating rockets and flying to the moon is the same as a flower opening. Prove me wrong. There you go. Yeah, I saw that argument coming too, Robin. Yeah, Robin's making the case that just the good ones come from plants. There's tons of synthetic drugs. Yeah, meth is not from a plant. Yes, we go to the cough drop tree. It grows in New Mexico. That's the thing. Chemicals come from plants. No, they don't. Not all chemicals come from plants. Show me a lithium tree. What are you talking about? Chemicals are made from dead dinosaurs with dead plants, right? Petroleum, that's right. All water is dinosaur pee, that's right. It says that in Ecclesiastes. I'll have to reread it. I don't remember that part, but I'll take your word for it. I know it'd get better than 9. B. Gabriel wasn't kidding, though. We love you, B. Gabriel. Don't, I'm just playing. Drugs come from pharmaceutical plants. Yes. A plant as in, in like a factory. Yes. I had a lithium tree in the old country. That's right. Everything used to be hydrogen. Right, that argument. See, don't pick on me, man. I didn't do anything. That's the hydrogen talking. You know what I mean? That hydrogen blows up. What do you expect from someone like me? I come from hydrogen. Humans already have cannabinoids in our brain. All right. Keep the dream alive in your heart. That's a good life-changing one, Alan. There you go. That's better. Alan Davis is slowly becoming our Alan Watts. Teeth cannot bite themselves. A tongue cannot taste itself. All drugs come from the earth except the ones that come from space. Yeah, cannabinoid receptors, not cannabinoids. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been named cannabinoids. Lithium is in the water supply in Ohio where Chappelle lives. Maybe that explains his behavior lately. Lithium is a natural occurring chemical. Right, but it's not a plant. And it's used in others. Yes, it's a mineral. That's right, Don. It doesn't come from... I mean, you could argue that some of it came from space because the whole planet came from space and blah, blah, blah. I love how, that simple statement can blow up a chat, and then you wonder why people fought wars over religion? Garlic is a food group. Yes, that's true. Yeah, easy topics today, religion and drugs. Mars has really good pot. I'll take your word for it, but that would also explain Elon Musk. He's a profoundly deaf, multidisciplinary artist from Ireland. Oh, okay, gotcha. Are you speaking of yourself in the third person, or do you use that account just to pose as them? I don't understand. You have to understand, this is the internet. I don't believe anything. Well, apparently I'm missing mine, Benny Loco, and I'm offended that you think I'm somehow less than. I see. Sorry, our bodies contain both receptors and the endogenous cannabinoid mimetic molecules. All right. Similar compounds, right. Yes, and our cells have puff structures around them that are similar to deer meat. Therefore, cogito ergo sum, humans are not humans unless we eat deer. Is that going to be the next argument? There's no man-made lithium. There's man-made chemicals from some plants. All lithium is natural and from the earth and not man-made. Yeah, but it's not from a plant. It's a mineral. We don't get lithium from plants. That's my point. Some drugs are made from minerals, not from plants. That was my point. I have venison receptors. Yes. Oh, our fake Christian came back for a moment. Apparently, their Satan worshiping gathering broke up. Yes, I'm high on my own brain. Let's see. I'm looking something up. The internet back here is slow. Let me tell you, man. You could starve eating moose. Yeah, it's the same thing with rabbit. If you eat rabbit, if you're starving and all you catch is rabbit, it takes more more nutrients from your body than it gives, and eventually it's the ROI on it wipes you out. You have bacon receptors. Yes. Apparently everybody has bacon receptors in their nostrils, whether they eat them or not. Cannabinoid receptacons. Yes, they're the slowest moving of the transformers. Central nervous system, these results include modulation. Okay, plus channels, neurotransmitter released in presynaptic, exhalatory, and inhibitory synapses. Let's see. CBN is derived from hemp plants. CBN is usual with cannabinoids found in cannabis plants, different chemical structures. PubMed, NIH.gov. Many of the effects of cannabinoids and endocannabinoids are mediated by two G protein coupled receptors, right? Okay, so we have receptors for the cannabinoids that are moderated by them. Are they all created equal? No. Are they all the same? No. Do they? Are you guaranteed that when you take them in that they will react with your receptors exactly the same way? No. Found on peripheral nerve terminals, some extra neutral fixtures, the testes, the eye. Hello. Y'all are making. I'll read. No, I'm good. I dive into these kind of things most of the time. I'm just messing with you. Duck is greasy, but their butt nuggets are amazing. Oh, the oysters, right? I learned that phrase. The duck oysters, basically the butt nuggets, Foggy, from Red Dragon, the movie Red Dragon. That's why some need it and some don't, right? How do you have siblings? If so, do you ever fight as adults? I have an older sister, and no, we do not fight. Endorphins are naturally, yes. Endorphins occur naturally in the body. Yes, it's true. Call your therapist. I don't have a therapist. Never had a therapist. That's the other thing. Oh, are we talking? Yes, butt nuggets. I don't know, Sony. That's what they said. Yeah, the paid Antichrist troll is popping back in our chat. Because they get paid by the number of people who ultimately leave the Christian church disgusted by the behavior of their fellow Christians, and they base that on the people that they interact with online. So it's a good money if you can make it, I guess. If it's a nice job if you can get it. I like to think this is a little bit therapy. It's in the old Crocodile Dundee idea. Doesn't he have any mates? Don't you have any mates? Get some mates. That's what I have instead of a therapist. I have some mates. You keep your own counsel? Yes, I do. And I can keep my own secrets. How you seem well grounded. Thanks, Monica. I try, you know. It's hard to be this grounded and humble. Oh no, I don't. Our fake Christian thinks that I think all Christians have to be nice. No, I don't think all Christians have to be nice. I just think you're a liar and a Satanist, and you're a paid troll. Otherwise, you'd use your face, stand by who you are, How can you lay on my massage therapy table? Any old? Oh, thanks very much, Foggy. I appreciate that. Massage therapy is a good idea. After I racked my shoulder really bad, that was a regular occurrence. And it's one of those things. Who's the Antichrist today? I don't know. It's obviously they're on Facebook, obviously. Thanks, Deirdre. I mean, sometimes it's interesting because I think the value of philosophical discussion around a lot of these things, some of it is based on, and then I'm going to get out of here because I've already gone an extra hour today. Some of it is based on what is discussed. This is a good thing to end on, I think. We can kind of extract ourselves from this, long and storied discussion of many topics. But some of the things in a giant discussion is about the things discussed. That you do get things off your chest, and you do get to express what you're feeling and have other people express what they're feeling, and you learn something from them in the back and forth. Some of it is that. Some of the benefit of these conversations is that. Some of it is simply that you're in a space where it's allowed to be said, and no one was harmed. Yeah, I'll be back on this afternoon at 3 o'clock at my regular time. You know what I mean? Like some of it is just I participated in a conversation and no one died. Like it was just nothing really villainous happened. Everybody was able to walk away from it. And as difficult as the conversation, we covered a lot of topics today that are touchy for a bunch of people. And yet at the end of it, part of it is the recognition of lack of harm. Hal, if you go by John, can you help him set up to get stars on Facebook? Yes, I will, Tammy. I'll see if we'll try and cover all those things. He has to qualify for them on there, and I don't know how long he's been doing it. I'll have to look at his thing when we go there, but I'll do my level best. Finally figured out how to send Facebook stars. Thanks. Oh, thanks very much. Although Hal sometimes kills. It does. I lay waste Robin occasionally. But, again, metaphorically. So, yeah, near-death experience in this chat. But the fact that these discussions were had is also a relief. That you can have these, and it's not as bad as you thought. You know what I mean? They often say fear of death is worse than death itself, and it limits humanity far more than the death actually could. And in a lot of ways, that's how people deal with difficult conversations. You know? Well, someone probably had their feelings hurt. Yeah, that's true. But even after you've had your feelings hurt, you're still alive. You're still aware of your heartbeat and the breath going in and out of your lungs. And sometimes having your feelings hurt because you're being an asshole, or you're being unfair, or you're being overtly argumentative, or picking a fight where there was none, and you get put down for it. The recognition of I'm still alive and breathing, even after my feelings are hurt, in and of itself can be positive for your own growth as a human being. Right? Yes, discussion without war, precisely. So, thanks. Thanks, Don. Yeah, so I'm going to sign off now, and I will see you, how you can have a conversation with the world, please. It's a wonderful morning show. Thanks. That's what I thought the value of doing the morning shows would actually be, is that we could have these kind of conversations. So, anyways, wish me luck. I'm going to go get something to eat, and then I'm going to go over to John's if he's got time for it, and then I'll be back at 3 o'clock. I'll probably have a hard out on the 3 o'clock show today at about 5:30 because I've got Nerd Halen rehearsal tonight. and it'll be a good time. We're adding some songs to our repertoire. And I heard someplace that the French don't have a word for repertoire. I don't know if that's true. We'll find out. So feel free, by the way, Friday will be the next morning show. If you've got questions about stuff, any of the stuff that we brought up I like having these kind of philosophical conversations, so let's get at it. That's fine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay awesome. Right. Do you watch ADV China? That's what he always says. Yes, the Monsters of Rock Cruise is coming up in February. It's going to be a good time. Come on. And remember, in the immortal words of George Carlin, in deference to somebody who earlier said they worship Carlin as their god, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will see you guys later.